Hi, Andre. Thanks for joining us. Very good to have you here.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Maybe we can start with a quick introduction where you kind of say what's your background and what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm a software engineer, but also IT trainer. I love teaching, and this is my big passion. So now I split my time between doing project work. They're doing like full stack software development and also teaching software development to other people.
Makes sense. Perfect. No, I would love to talk a bit about various topics. I mean, of course, we're quite interested in big picture topics about education, future of education, role of immigration, and other topics. But maybe just to get started, would be curious if you're looking at technology education in Germany, particularly. What do you think is working well, and where are we not doing a good of a job as we should be doing?
Technology education. So yeah, you're probably referring to universities or boot camps,
comes to mind,
which
exactly,
are out there. So I didn't study computer science. And actually, I know quite a few people in the software industry who didn't. And the ones who did, like most of them, they tell me there's just a tiny fraction of things which they learned during their studies which they can actually use on the job. And just now I'm in a project with a client where a new hire, she came just fresh from university. She said she's so happy that she got this job, and she feels within the few months she is there, she learned so much actual programming, actual coding. And she said during her studies, she did one tiny programming project within like her 3 years bachelor's. And the rest of the time, she said, was all theory. I have to say, I also like to learn theory. And I'm happy I did during my studies. Actually, I did programming during my studies, although it wasn't a computer science degree. I studied cognitive science. And so we did artificial intelligence and coding. And I'm happy I learned algorithms. I think it helped me to learn how to think and to take time to think about problems deeper. Although what I actually do now, and which, I don't know, the expertise I built is from what I did after uni, when I then taught myself software engineering more, or like software development or web development, and then learned on the job, and I learn every day. So
how did you learn, and how do you learn?
I began with the desire wanting to build a website. And then I did a Udemy course. So Udemy, this platform where everyone can put up online courses. And there was a really nice introduction. And that's how I began to learn. And then step by step further in jobs. But yeah, to answer your question from before, like how good the education is. There are, I think, some gaps between what people really, or what companies expect and what is taught in uni.
If you were in charge of Germany and could redesign how the education system works, or how people get taught, what would you do? Like, how would you change it?
Yeah, I think there has to be curiosity, and this comes by letting people work on own projects, on things they want to build. And so a project-based curriculum would be something nice. Also, when I teach coding, I don't let people, like I do usually company trainings where we just have a limited amount of time. But I kind of give them the problem or the project. But we start with thinking about the problem and trying to really mess around with code without understanding everything at first. And then in a second step, we then look at the theory to try to make sense of what we did and to deepen knowledge. And I think this is something I missed at uni. Like, it was really a lot of just learning theory, talking about concepts, and less applying them.
Mm-hmm. You think people in the future will need a university degree, or they will just do the kind of a famous Google whiteboard coding challenge, and if they can solve a task, they get a job?
I think nowadays already you don't need a university degree. And I'm happy that in my industry, like in the software engineering industry, now also even in Germany, people gradually rather look at what a person is able to do instead of really just ticking off boxes of certain degrees. Although I think still here it's quite prevalent. Yes, you have to have a certain degree for some jobs, but it's getting as I feel, less of a requirement.
But it's tricky. I mean, you have some people who are just super high agency and they just pick whatever task they want, and they invent problems if they need a problem, and they just learn the skills somehow from YouTube videos or Udemy courses or from a book or however. But you have other people who are more suited to a instructor-led, this is your task, do exactly like I say, and then you will get a job. What do you think about them? They will just have a tougher time in the future, or what's your take on this? Because that's, I guess, why the system is designed the way it is, with a kind of best practice and this module, yada yada.
Yeah, you're right. And actually, I also got this as feedback in my workshops from time to time, where people said, can't you just show us some PowerPoint where we have the step A, B, C, and then we do it? And because I like to do it the other way around. And I get that, yeah, because that's how they may be used to learn things. But I still feel that if you give people a chance to be creative and to start to that they have, give them a chance to have to apply their skills, have to do something, I still believe that there's an innate curiosity of people which will ignite, even if people maybe lost that because school, uni made them believe you shouldn't, or I don't know, made them believe in a different form of education. I don't know. Of course, there are innate differences of people as well. And maybe I'm a bit naive in that sense, but I still believe, because I taught kids in the past, now it's mostly adults. And I feel when I teach the adults sometimes, and I give them the task, to do some project-based work, sometimes I feel, okay, their little child comes up again and they see, oh, I can play, I can have some fun.
Yeah, I'm curious about this task giving and task receiving versus self-task setting, because I mean, you could imagine someone just graduates from high school, doesn't go to university, and just learns whatever their curiosity is leading them towards. I mean, the resources are there. You don't need to pay for them. You don't need to go to uni. You can just get them. But it's practically very hard. And if you're having at least some kind of a structure where you have to achieve certain milestones and you have to show a big project in 6 months and you work towards it, I guess it's going to help a lot of people to actually do something instead of just watching Netflix and chill too hard.
I agree. So it has to be within some bounds. And for example, in my workshop, in the end, they get a certificate and they level up their skills, which is also like a motivation. They learn, they know after a few days they will have learned this and that because I give them some structure in my course. I think, yes, it's super hard when you just say, let's just go and set your own goals, create your very own projects, maybe later. But yeah, I also agree there has to be some kind of setting. And actually, there's a nice example here in Berlin. It's like the Code, this university. They do project work, project-based work, and quite successfully, I think. But there also, I would have to understand it better whether the university attracts people who are already kind of people who rather want to work with projects, or whether the university makes them to such people who are more intrinsically motivated to just try out something.
No, it makes sense. Plus, I guess it also sharpens your skills for the actual real world if you're working with less defined parameters just towards a goal, as opposed to someone telling you, do this module now, this module now, this module now, because it makes you a more valuable kind of member of the workforce and employee and whatnot.
Much more valuable. It's a big topic, like this empowerment of individual people in a software development team. Actually, that's what you want. You want people who are ready to take ownership of a task and even like come up with an extra idea. Oh, I could make this a little bit better. These are the people like when I talk with others, with CTOs or other tech team leaders, that's what they're after.
Makes sense, yeah. Maybe, I mean, one thing particularly about developers and junior developers who are kind of just coming into the play, we're in a very interesting time of the advent of various artificial intelligences and co-pilots and so on. What's your take on the overall industry? Does it make sense for a young person wondering what they are about to do to go into coding, or should they, if they're not already a senior, not even bother?
Yeah, I think it's a very tough time now for people who are just starting out with computer science. And also, even I, although I've now more than 10 years experience in the field, was a bit worried. Now I'm better now, but like a few months or like half a year ago, it was a time where I really was doubting, like how long will I actually still be useful? And now, just also now before I arrived here, I had a chat with another young guy who is like still in his studies, and he was doubting a lot. But in his project right now, he sees that he is like working together with the AI to create something that the AI still has issues like sometimes, and that especially like he's working in C. Which is like a very low-level programming language, and there the AI is still very bad. Mm-hmm. So this gave him hope that there's still something for him to do. But I think in general also, we will have to build a lot of code to have the AI, soon a lot of industries will change radically, and so we will need software engineers to help. And if we only rely on senior developers, then soon they will get too old and too expensive. And so I think there is a need still for people getting into the field and leveling up and contributing.
But are there some skills? I mean, if you look at, for example, navigation, when I was very small, I still navigated with a paper map. But for the last, 20 years, I've been using Google Maps. And my sense of navigation is much poorer than older generation. And that's okay. I don't expect I will ever have the situation where I don't have a GPS in my pocket and can just navigate where to go. So would you say that's similar in coding, that like nobody ever needs to make a button again because buttons are just solved? Or is it an important skill to have to understand the fundamentals, and you can't move further if you don't get even the things which will be solved forever?
Fundamentals of a button, maybe you don't really have to know, because you can create a button, but to have a button which is integrated into the whole system, that's a big difference. Mm-hmm. Because the button has to build in such a way that it adheres to coding guidelines, that it fits into the programming philosophy, let's say, or that it has to be maintainable. This is like so a button is not just a button. And also all the AI examples you see where you just, magically create something, these are all like prototype projects. And the AI got really good also with big projects, mm-hmm. but only if I work with it very closely, mm-hmm. and look exactly at what it's doing. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. And your question was also about fundamentals. These are super important. I see it especially now with AI creating some code, and then you have to evaluate based on some principles you learned.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense, yeah. Are there any specific skills you think which are going to become more important, and others which are going to become less important as kind of AI goes further?
So what I think the number one skill will be in the future will be good communication skills, and these will be useful in human-to-human interactions and human-to-AI interactions, because you have to somehow explain a problem to an AI. This is the first step. Then you need later some computer science skills to evaluate the result. But actually, I think the most important will actually be the soft skill of being a good communicator, because I think the prompt engineering, this is a thing which I think in a few years no one will care about anymore, because the AI itself will be able to make sense of what you say. I know that's my prediction, but I think good communication skills, because if you explain something wrongly or in a misleading way, then an AI agent also cannot do the right thing.
There is a saying that clear writing requires clear thinking or something. Like if your thoughts are muddled, your words will be muddled, and if you write something very clearly, it also means you have to understand it very deeply.
Yes.
So maybe this connects. Okay, so you're saying clear, good communication, both interpersonal and in writing, are required to kind of become successful, or
yes, because if you are able to do that, then you can learn much more with any AI. And then you will learn the hard skills, like the fundamentals of computer science. Yeah, I think there's still other ways to learn, but yeah, together with an AI system, you get instant feedback and can learn anything. But there also you have to ask the right questions, or have to question things the AI throws at you. Of course, critical thinking is another one. But yeah, really being, I think still a clear communication will be a very thought after skill.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, historically, you had the different waves of automation. I mean, at some point, the tractors came and replaced the people with the horses plowing the fields, and the factories came, and then the automated factories came, and usually people became more and more kind of abstract in what they did, and more working with cognitive skills. Like the manual labor became less, and the cognitive one became more. And I can see two futures for human skills to be relevant. One is that what has happened is just going to extrapolate and continue happening. Is kind of what you're saying, which means we go from working on the field to working in the factory to working in an office as a low-level worker to working as a whatever freelancer to ultimately just working in pure concepts and instructing the machine to get your kind of distilled agency and will into being. This is like the most abstract it could be. The other direction could be that maybe even this kind of abstract work can be done, and humans are better in care work or in manual work or others. I've heard arguments for both, but you seem to be more on the kind of it's helping us to up level our game and become more high level than ever before.
At least in the near future. I think your other scenario could be one, for, I don't know, down the line. And I'm even afraid to say a number of years. I don't know. But I think this could also happen. And maybe it will be different for different parts of the population. Maybe we will have a choice, maybe not.
Yeah, makes sense. What do you think if we look at different countries, how these things are going to affect different countries in a specific timeline?
But I can also really hard to tell. But one thing I realized now, money is still also a factor. So since a couple of months, I became kind of less stingy when it comes to spending money on AI. And this kind of freed up a bit more, because then I could let agents run for me, or not only one, then I could have agents run in parallel, and this costs more money.
Or the state-of-the-art models.
Yeah, using state-of-the-art models, and then also being more experimental, trying out different models and different AIs from different companies. And this made me also learn about the weaknesses and strengths. And of course, then again, maybe in industrial countries, people maybe have some advantage to again, like maybe in all of history, if you can afford something, it's, I don't know, you have more chances. I don't know whether this plays out.
You have both, no? Sometimes you have the kind of, if you have more capital to spend, you can jump on the next train of innovation and make your advantage even stronger. But you also have the leapfrogging, where if some countries don't even have a good telecommunication network, they just jump straight to mobile. And if someone has a beloved fax machine, then they're going to hold on to their beloved fax machine until kingdom comes. So I could also imagine that some countries which are particularly stuck in their regulatory ways are maybe slower to adopt than others.
Yes, no, and actually, internet speed, I find in most countries I visit outside of Germany is much faster than here. So they then have an advantage there. And even with the free tiers of the AI system, you can learn so much. And I think there are also many more opportunities for people from many different countries. And less regulatory issues maybe than in Germany, where you can just try out more. So yeah, exactly. So it's different opportunities.
Maybe if we're already on the country comparison, you lived and worked in multiple countries and have seen quite a lot, and you've done freelancing and had a look in different roles and areas. Maybe if you kind of compare it, what works best for you, and also what do you think in terms of work environment? What's an advantage of Germany? What's something where Germany might be lacking behind other places? How would you make the comparison of different locations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as a freelancer, I work remotely for almost 7 years now. So location independent, but mostly my clients, they're from Germany or the UK or Europe, also from Denmark, for example. But through this work, I also got to always see different offices, different work cultures. And in China, I also worked once. But I have to say the teams in when I work in software engineering are always very international. And that's basically anywhere I've been to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I cannot, right. I couldn't really tell like, oh, it's much better here or there. But I see that anywhere in the world you are reliant on, smart people coming from somewhere else, joining the team and creating a multicultural work environment.
So you're saying if you're anyhow remote working, the place where you physically reside in is more of a lifestyle choice than a kind of choice of the work context, because the work context is dictated by the client situation?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, for me, it's I'm very grateful to have the chance to choose where I work from. And like when I had this one client from Denmark, then I went to visit them in Copenhagen sometimes, and got to know a nice work environment there. Actually, this was one of the nicest ones I saw, where the CEO took care that no one works too much. Yeah, they will, like, in case a person would regularly stay until like 6 p.m., which is maybe not too late, he would ask like, what's your issue? Why can't you, like, we have to, is there an issue in the company because you cannot finish the work at 5? It's not your fault then, but there must be some other issue. Yeah, so I noticed like such differences a bit, but usually it's my choice of work.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And about the freelancing versus employee, you haven't been employed in quite a while. This is by choice, I assume, or kind of what's your take on this? Is it kind of less attractive to become an employee, or would you say it's a personal choice or general trend? How do you see this?
I think it's more of a personal choice. So, and I think I love freedom, and so being a freelancer really suits me well, because I, for example, enjoy working for myself. I work with teams, but I have no issue to also sit in a room peacefully and code. And I have other friends and acquaintances who want to work in closely with teams, or like who really excel when they have this very when they communicate with other people, when they work together all day. And I love like being with people, and I love teaching and interactions there, but I maybe just prefer the freedom of being able to choose the location I live in, and to be around the people I want to, over working in this very close a close teamwork. I love working with other people, and right now I have a project where I'm in an office 2 days a week, and I enjoy it. but I think it just suits me better. And I know one freelancer, for example, or he was a freelancer, and then he felt lonely at some point, and now he's a full-time employee again. So I think it maybe doesn't suit everyone. It suits me, but yeah.
You know this Coase theory of the firm? It's like an economist, and he says that, I'm going to butcher it, but he roughly says that it's all about transaction cost, and you can have gigantic firms which do a full integration all the way from the lowest element to the final full product, or you can have just everybody is an individual freelancer and solopreneur and doing things for themselves. And then in practice, we see firms forming, but they have certain sizes, and some roles are considered crucial to be internal, some roles are external. And the key point is, as transaction costs are growing or shrinking, the firm size should adjust accordingly. And I think it makes a lot of sense if you're saying that, for example, transaction costs are shrinking. It's easier to find clients. It's easier to invoice. It's easier to Skype with them, or not, Skype is dead. Talk to them, talk to them through Hangouts or whatever. I can also imagine that firm sizes should shrink, or people should be more freelancers going onwards. Yeah, I'm not sure if you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, it could be. Like, of course, I now get to see companies from like a bit of a, with a bit of a bird's eye view. I get to peek into the companies, and I'm not inside this hierarchical structure, so I can look a little bit at what's going on, and I see some inefficiencies as well. But is that what you mean?
Like, you could imagine an economy which is just consisting of one company which is employing everybody. Like, the entire country is employed in this one company, and the company is doing everything. It's kind of like, I don't know, like the communist dream or something. Or you could imagine a country where every single person is offering their services on the market, and one person is saying, I smelter iron, and the next person is saying, I make this iron into iron bars, and the next person is saying, I create screws, and the next person is saying, I batch these screws and package them, and they all kind of create their own businesses. And in many cases, that's not what happens, like the kind of individual extreme, because if you have a person whose sole job it is to, I don't know, like create screws and sell them to other people, it's inefficient if they're on their own and they need to find customers and so on. So if a big company needs the screws all the time, they just insource it or have some kind of very tight integration. But if it's easier and you can just sell your screws through AliExpress or Alibaba, maybe this is becoming more and more prevalent. So I think that the idea is, you being a freelancer, it is kind of an individual choice, but it's also partially a kind of the output of the opportunities of the time, like as in like the technological low transaction costs enable you to do something, and if they go even lower, more people will choose this route, and if they became higher because, I don't know, like something happened, I couldn't imagine what, then it would be going back to the firm.
Yeah, exactly. You can always go back to a firm, and there are many. Now in this time, I just need my laptop, and I get, like, as I viewed, a lot of benefits as compared to being an employee, and I find even more security than in a full-time job.
More security.
Yeah, but maybe it's like I had discussions about this with other people.
You have multiple sources of potential, like you're not fully dependent on one person, or what's the reason?
Yeah, this is one reason, that I'm free to also split up my time as I want to, and also then in times of a crisis or in times there are issues, or like when a company has issues, they might have to let you go. And for like a time of a crisis, for me as a freelancer, it's just that maybe industries are now changing. The ones who were successful won't be anymore, and that means there will be different people different companies looking for people. Of course, there could be a crisis where everyone is involved, and then and then maybe I'm also out of work for some time. But in such times, if you're employed, it depends on how safe your job is. Yeah, it's also easy, or like easier than maybe some people think, to be let go. Or this, when I had some talks with other people, I don't know, and so I feel that I can, because I have opportunity to jump into a new thing once directly, and it's not like also mentally such a big thing to switch, to change jobs.
Yeah, you're hedging, and you're saying like one boat rises, another boat falls, and something is always going to be around.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah.
I don't know whether it's more secure or not, or that's, actually, when I started out with freelancing, maybe I was a bit more worried, but that's like through the experience, I know that, okay, there are always people searching for freelancers, which then makes me feel more safe.
Makes complete sense. Maybe on the kind of international scope, can you observe something like we have this alleged Fachkräftemangel, like there's lack of high-skilled labor in Germany. You think this is the case? Is it a lack of people? Is it a lack of training? You're training employees of internal companies to upskill? Maybe quickly say your own take on the kind of, are we skilled enough? What's the skill gap in terms of labor shortage?
Yeah, I'm doing company trainings, and there oftentimes the companies have like a new project, and they have to use new technologies or technologies the current employees don't know. I come in and help them level up. But most of the time, they are willing to learn something new. They already have a background in other programming languages, so usually that's not a big issue for them to learn something new. And for people who are software engineers, we know we always have to learn something new, like our entire career. I was also teaching people in boot camps where people switched careers, like maybe in their 30s or even in their 40s. And I was impressed, and how motivated they are. But it's tough to begin from scratch. So usually then it took them, like after bootcamp, another year to learn more by themselves until they found their first job. But with the skill gap, so I think, there are, like I also know other friends who have companies or are searching for people, and they search for a long time to find people who have certain skills, or even people they find to be like promising in the sense that they are really willing and eager to learn more. I know many people looking for people, but like many people now look for senior developers, and I think that's why I was like that. It's much harder to find like the senior people. So I think people should go also like to find juniors who really have this big willingness to learn, because nowadays technology is changing so fast, with AI even faster.
You think it can be sped up? Like if you're a junior and you work in a specific job doing whatever you do, it takes you 10 years to become senior or whatever, like some time, let's say. Maybe you never achieve it because you're just too shoeboxed. You think if someone just focused on becoming as senior as possible, it can be achieved, like to shorten it, to just say, okay, like my only purpose is to become a fully rounded senior person. You think the time can be shortened, or is it just time which has to pass and character which has to develop and just so many practical things you have to have seen to actually be senior?
A tough question, because experience is important, to have seen different kind of problems, because on the one side you learn things, but also it builds your confidence. I think it's also a big part of it, that you know that you kind of know you can solve real world problems. Therefore, it's also important to work in a real company doing actual work which kind of makes a difference, it's very important to do your own projects. Yeah, we talked about it before. Yeah, but I think gain some real experience is important. But this you can also do. For example, when you support a charity or but you have to somehow do something which, or you build your own project, but then you really try not just build it for yourself at home, but you really try to sell it, or you publish it, or you don't have to even make money with it, but get it out in users' hands.
Because I'm just wondering if the overall message is that junior developer is not that demanded on the labor market, and the senior developer is demanded. But you have to be a junior first to become a senior. That's a bit of a chicken and egg issue. If there's some way to kind of get it done, but you're saying maybe through building projects, working for volunteer causes, and just building up a portfolio of actually being able to handle complicated situations.
Yes. So this will maybe not make you a senior on paper, but in the eyes of technical leaders who hire people, it will make a difference, a big one. And
it's all
not
on the
only
whiteboard.
their eyes, but it's also you yourself really level up, and maybe you are a senior then, even though you never had the title at the company.
Makes complete sense. Maybe if we talk about particularly international people coming from other countries, for many people all over the world, Germany is an attractive destination, more so since the US is getting a bit more closed lately and so on. At the same time, it's not always easy for someone to kind of integrate into the labor market and work here. From what you've seen, what's your take on this? What do you think are the particular challenges, and where do they lie? Is it about the kind of mismatch, or is it Germany not being welcoming enough, or what do you think is a kind of the issue that on the one hand side we need people willing to come, but it doesn't always fit?
Yeah, so one thing which I noticed, like when I was CTO of a startup, that there is like a hurdle if you want to get someone to move from a foreign country to Germany. There's a minimum wage you have to pay, and I think it's good if you have actually a minimum wage to pay. And this minimum wage is much higher than the average minimum wage in Germany, because they say they want to kind of say we only get really highly qualified technical people here, so you'll have to pay a certain price. But this, of course, makes it a bit more difficult for companies to hire, because especially I've experienced in startups as well, where maybe the salaries at first are a bit lower, but then you get the promise of some shares in companies. And if you then hire someone from abroad and you have to give them an entry salary, which is much higher than what locals get, this can create a bit of tension, or be a bit difficult for the company or CEO to justify. So this I saw as an issue, but this was also a few years ago. I don't know exactly how the regulations are right now, but this has nothing to do with the international, with the person as such. This is like a regulatory thing in Germany. And where I don't know exactly what I think is better. Of course, if you could lower this minimum wage, but of course, people would deserve to earn a proper amount. But I think they could then, it's just maybe to get them here and to ease the process of have foreigners come to Germany, it would be maybe good to lower that. And then later, to have a normal progression of salary as everyone else. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's kind of almost like a tariff on people coming, like a burden for people, which is tougher than for locals when they first enter the job market.
Yeah, somehow it's for basically founders, who have a startup, or especially in such a startup culture, I think is very welcoming for people from all over the world. But they, of course, have to look at how much money they spend. And so it would be nice if they get more incentive to get people from other countries to join and make it easier for them to do so.
Makes sense. Yeah. Leads neatly into my next question. If you're in charge of setting regulation in Germany, or labor market policy, what would be one thing which you would change? I mean, that's probably already connected to this
Probably I would. Yeah. I would probably do. I would probably do that. Or I would then want to know more, or find out more exactly what they want to prevent with, like, this high minimum wage they set. Probably they want to restrict. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, people coming for cheap labor, and so I would have to understand exactly more, because there was a thought process which went through that.
It's a complex system.
It's a complex system, so I don't know. But just from the experience I had there in the startup, where we had to like think a lot about should we do it or not, and then it was much easier for us to hire a person who already was in Europe. Yeah, for example, if it's when a person from outside Europe. Denmark is a country actually where for some countries it's easier to get there at first, and so we had some people who even had their first touch point with Europe there, and this was easier than even but I don't know, I would somehow try to make it easier, especially because it would make it easier to hire juniors. Because it's so like when the bar is so high, you have to pay really a high salary. This means you then want to look for like this very senior person, which is also maybe not fair. Like it's be nice to give more people a chance. But I don't know. There's a complex system, and
But it makes sense. It makes sense. In the end, it's only people who are making all the decisions, and who knows? Maybe some things are just anachronistic and just have always been like this, and nobody bothered to update them. Makes sense. Now, we spoke a bit about different topics. We spoke about kind of AI coming, and about the changing demands of the labor market, and about freelancing versus employed. One thing which is kind of curious, I think you're in the process of setting up a bit of a personal brand. I've seen you're much more active on social media and LinkedIn and all the other social medias. What do you think is a role of personal branding for you personally, but also kind of more broadly for people in the future? What's the take on that?
Yeah, for me, actually being more active on social media, creating videos. One reason is that I always wanted to do it, and I somehow have this bit of creative mind or like creative energy in me, and creating videos is a nice way where this comes together. But I'm also thinking about it as a way to create a personal brand, to let the world know what I stand for. And I saw the power of that, but only if you really are genuine, if you then talk about things you are actually interested in and you want to do, because then this will attract people who like the same things, and you can connect with people, and even when you do it, like I do it on LinkedIn, for example, people will notice and they will reach out to you. So it's a powerful way to tell the outside world what you enjoy doing, what you're good at, and then it increases the chances of opportunities in this area. And could this be more important for other people? Yes, I also think even if you are an employee, it just increases opportunities because people know about you, and recruiters will see you, or people who want to start a company will see you and maybe ask you to join. It's just this idea of like this chance we have nowadays that anyone can just take their phone, make a video, and let other people know what they're up to is powerful.
Yeah. I'm thinking about authenticity also. Like earlier we talked about ultimately what do humans have beyond AI, for example. We were talking about abstraction and like kind of long-term abstract thinking and task setting and something like this. But the other thing could be just authenticity. Like people want to see authentic other people as a means in itself, instead of a means to an end.
Yes, exactly. So I think that's people are craving. So I see really to see someone authentic, especially on LinkedIn. It's sometimes very fake. And for me, actually, I also, when I began posting on LinkedIn, wow, when I look back at the posts, I find them really fake. I try to really first adopt this LinkedIn lingo language. And yeah, I don't know, just was talking about my success and whatnot. It took some time, and I found out it's so hard to be really authentic in front of the camera.
Yeah, particularly, I mean, there is always a thought of other people judging one, and particularly the more unique quirks, which are more kind of more deviant from the average, I guess are also more tricky to show. No, how do you think about this?
Yeah, definitely. And I think this was maybe also something in the back of my mind which kept me from beginning to post earlier. And I took part in a 30-day challenge to post more, and I think this really helped to somehow, I don't know, get me out there. And a lot of thoughts I had about what others may think, and they were all like, now this really helped me. And now I learned, like the biggest learning I had from that is that I'm okay now to be disliked by some people. And I'm not as attached anymore to people clicking like on my posts, because I had a few posts, really not many people, very few people actually enjoyed. And I'm happy that I'm now okay with that.
It's very sad that there's no strength of the valence of a like. Like there are some things which you post and everybody's like, got a new job, got a promotion, well done, here you go. And you get just a kind of a like because it's expected to be a like, whatever. But if you say something which is actually kind of cutting it a bit closer, some people might really care about it and say, wow, this was truly insightful. And others are saying, what the heck? Why would you say that on a public platform? That's bad. But in the end, it's like the unit is one. Like you don't have, like there's no measure of how much difference you make in other people's perception.
That's true. But I saw that you do make a difference. So I saw not only what I said before is that people reach out to you, but others also reached out to me like in private messages and telling me, wow, Andre, really nice what you explained, what you explained there. It really helped me. Or wow, great that you created videos. I know it's really hard to do, and I'll try myself now. And some people said me, I even inspired them to also try to. They had a plan to actually, or they wanted to create videos for a long time and never did. And they said I inspired them somehow to do so. And I would have never thought that this would happen. I did some stupid videos there, and I don't know, but I saw also you need some courage to do it, because other people may judge you for it. But this is, I think, wow, I'm so happy that I now am more okay with being disliked. This was always a bit of I wanted to be liked by everyone, or but I see that to be authentic, to be you, some people will not like it, perhaps, or maybe even just don't care. And I was worried about people not caring about it, but that's just, I saw the norm. I got a bit more grounded for this experience. And so I think even doing that, being more authentic, but doing it publicly, really helped me to be more confident in general, and to be okay to be me. Well, this sounds like really big, but I don't know. But this is why I think it's a nice tool. You can you kind of unify the outer image and the inner image into one joint image. Maybe last question. I perceive you as a very kind of agentic person who's having a lot of agency and going out there and kind of doing stuff, going to a country, getting a freelance job, posting something. What's the source of your agency? Like how do you kind of motivate yourself to all these different off the beaten path agentic behaviors? Okay, thank you. It's also interesting you say that, because I myself am thinking, oh my God, I could have already done this and that years ago. And I myself, think, okay, finally I do things, but a friend recently that told me, that he was always really, like, he was amazed by how I follow my curiosity doing a lot of things. And so then I really reflected on that and think, yes, that I really am also grateful that I had the privilege to being able to do that. Mm-hmm. So that, like, growing up in Germany, where I don't have to worry much about my basic needs, that I was allowed to follow my curiosity to study cognitive science as a bachelor's and didn't have to study a certain thing because I knew this would make me money, but I could follow my interest I wanted to know how the brain works, and without any job in mind. And also then later on in life, it was, I think, more curiosity. I wanted to create our own website, so that I wanted to do it. I was curious. I thought, if other people can do it, maybe I can do it as well. And then I did this Udemy course, and then this led to my first software engineering job then later. And I think it's, I cannot explain it. It's really that I somehow, when I'm curious about something, I still don't do it immediately. And I sometimes think about it too much, but eventually it gets too big of a thing I want to do, and I then do it.
You think it's trainable, like kind of curiosity, or people just have it, or people have it and then lose it to some degree, more or less, or because there's some people who are more curious and others who are seemingly less curious?
I don't know.
Maybe it's a cognitive science question, huh?
Yeah. Maybe you can, but because it's right, a lot, like your thoughts, are like also kind of also govern, like, your thought patterns, even govern your actions. Sometimes there's, I think, also some research concerning that. If you think positively, like the positive psychology, I think positive a lot, really likelihood for positive things happening increases. I cannot name a study right now, but I don't know. Maybe you can somehow I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Mm-hmm. You could be more curious about the world, and then maybe it leads to you taking action at some point. But no, actually, I'm just making stuff up.
Hard to say. Well, in either case, I think I definitely followed my curiosity in this discussion. I kind of left the script halfway behind. But this has been extremely, extremely interesting and a great time. So probably through with my points here. Big thanks for coming. No. And it was an absolute pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Björn. It was really fun to talk with you. Thanks.
Let's do this again. Thanks.